Hey guys, Tammy here. In this video, I want to talk about why communicating with your child during the other parent's time can hurt your child. Now, I know this is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of us, and I think the younger your children are, the harder this is to deal with, and we worry about their safety and we worry about their emotional well-being. We worry about them being scared. We worry about them feeling the need to talk to us or to reach out to us. And so frequently I see orders from the court that have video or telephone calls, depending on the situation, with one parent when the children are in the other parent's world. Now, if you've listened to me for a while, you know I say over and over, I don't like calls or videos into the other parent's world. I think it only puts the children in the middle, which we talked about the last time. And so I don't think it's a good thing. But here's the dilemma. When your children are in that other world, the reason that I say, can this hurt them, is because this goes beyond just you feeling like you want to check on them or you being worried about them being upset. I think what happens is a lot of times children are trying to cope in the more difficult parent's home. And I think the parent that is the more cooperative parent and the more stable parent is often the one that I will see that wants these video or telephone calls because they want to check on the children. They want to make sure the children are okay. They have their own anxiety that they're trying to deal with. And so they want to really have these calls so that they can make sure everything is good, but they don't always step back and think why these calls might be hurting their children. If you're the stable one, you're no longer their buffer. And they're there in the chaotic, crazy, controlling, manipulative, whatever the issues are with your ex, that's the world they're trying to survive in. And they don't have you as a buffer. Now, let me just say, you can't be the buffer. You can't. Because if you try to be the buffer, probably what's going to happen is you're going to end up in hot water with the court. Because they see that as trying to control the other parent's time. You have to let the other parent when they're doing their thing and not try to be the buffer. But what happens is we're out of our own fear and everything. We're worried, but we're not thinking about the fact of what is the child's experience in the other world. Now that I'm not there, now that I'm removed, what is their day-to-day like? And honestly, if you have a parent that's on the other side who is difficult and high conflict and all these things, manipulative, bullying, all these things that they were in your relationship, guess what? You're not there for them to bully and manipulate anymore. So who do you think they're bullying and manipulating? Probably the kids. And so the kids are in survival mode in that world. And then you're wondering why the kids aren't talking to you on the call, why the kids are looking down, from the camera and not interacting, or why they maybe just kind of smile, nod, don't respond too much, because they're under that pressure from the other parent in that world. And so all these communications are doing is putting more pressure on them in that world. I've even seen situations where maybe the child has a device like a wristwatch or something like that. And they go into the other parent's world. The other parent figures out that that's a communication with the other parent. They take it. And now the child is fighting with that parent because that parent just took the watch or whatever that was their communication with the other parent. Now you put your child in a situation where they're trying to argue with their parent about getting this device back, which is not an equal playing field, right? There's nothing they can do to overcome their parent. Now, it's different if you have older kids. If you have teenagers that can text themselves and have their own devices and all that kind of thing, then not as much of an issue, right? I think where we see this issue the most is in younger children. And honestly, for children 5 and below, even keeping their attention for any length of time on some type of video or telephone call is very, very difficult. All my grandkids live out of state. They all 4 live up in Idaho. And honestly, I've used the technology a lot to bond with them. And it's a fabulous tool. It's great for certain contexts. But when I call, if I'm talking to one of my 18-month-old grandchildren, I'm not expecting to have a 15-minute call with that child. We get on the call, we have a little bit of interaction for them to be able to see my face, hear my voice, for that familiarity to kind of stay with it, and then see how long they tolerate it. I try to interact with them. I've bought the Facebook portal. So because I have the portal plus, you can like read stories and play games and all these like interactive things because I have 4 of them and they're all different ages, right? And that helps to keep the child entertained. And so you can keep them entertained for a few minutes, but honestly, you can't expect a 15, 20, 25-minute phone call with a very young child like that. And again, even children that young, I find will feel the pressure and will start to get fussy and will feel like they don't know what they're expected to do or why they're having to sit in front of this device or whatever. And then again, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they understand the device thing, right? They understand what they're supposed to do. But now I'm not sure who I'm upsetting by my behavior. Do I choose to upset mom? Do I choose to upset dad? Because if I take action A, it's going to upset mom. And if I take action B, it's going to upset dad. And everybody has this expectation of me. And now I don't know what to do. And now I'm stressed. And now I'm starting to act out and misbehave. And I'm showing signs of anxiety. And my parents can't figure out why. This is one of the ways that you can relieve pressure for your child. And I think it's one of the easiest ways. Honestly, look, even if something was wrong, it's not like your 5-year-old is going to sit down and go, oh yeah, the other parent did this thing or that thing. I mean, they might tell you they're upset. They might tell you, the other parent yelled at me or something like that. But that's not enough for you to know if something really, truly bad is happening. Honestly, if that is the type of thing going on, if there's something really, truly bad, you're going to have to wait. It's going to take time for that to really come to the surface and figure out what's going on. So these little things aren't that helpful. And honestly, if you have a good bond with your children, if you have a tight bond with them, they're going to know you love them, even when they're in the other world. They're going to know when they come back by your reaction and how happy you are to see them. So I would encourage you, instead of sitting around stressing and feeling like, oh, got to call my child, time for the call, got to make sure they're okay. Focus on you. Focus on, what you want to build in your life. Focus on the awesomeness that you're going to create for them when they come back. We used to, run around and go get groceries and wash the sheets and, plan the next thing that we were going to do, or, paint their room while they were gone, or, go buy a new little toy to have for them when they come back, or whatever it was. Like, you really want to try to focus on your world and focus on what you're developing for the children, and not be so focused on the other parent's world and what's going on there, or what you're afraid may or may not happen. Because the more that you're doing that, the more that you're telling the child something's wrong. You're in the other world and something's wrong and something's going to happen. You are probably unintentionally communicating that message that, oh, I got to check on you and make sure everything's okay because something might happen in that other world. I see that too. Now, not every parent is like that, but I see situations like that. And then that'll almost give the child more anxiety going into that other world. Like, what's going to happen? What's the other parent worried about? What's going on? What do I need to be on the lookout for? And all of these types of things are the types of things that start to cause anxiety and stress. Honestly, you guys, 8, 9, 10, that's when we start to see the stress and anxiety really manifest in children. Below 4, I think it's impacting them that they're still oblivious enough that they don't know what's going on. By the time they hit 5 or so, they know what's going on in the real world. Like, they may not know exactly what's happening, but they can feel what's happening. And then by the time they get closer to that 10-year mark, they start going, okay, here's the deal. I can't talk to this person. I can't talk to mom about this. I can't talk to dad about that. I get yelled at. I get in trouble. Somebody gets upset. Somebody cries. Somebody, like, whatever. So they pick up on these things really, really quickly. So we have to be really careful, because these are all forms of putting the child in the middle, even though I think as parents, we would see it as just being a loving parent and being concerned about our child and trying to make sure they're safe and they're okay. But if I tell you emotionally, the effect of it is it's putting your child in the middle. Does that shift how you feel about doing these calls and communication and all that when the child is in the other parent's world? I hope so. I hope it does. All right. So if you would like to learn more about my coaching services, please go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There's a link on there where you can book a free strategy session with me. I'd love to talk to you and see how I might be able to support you on this journey. See you in the next video.